All right. Last of all, I want to talk about processes. This isn't necessarily software architecture related, but these are important things to think about with the team, and a lot of these questions fit really nicely into those same discussions. You have a team, you're meeting, you're talking about what are we building, how are we building it, how's it going to look, how's it all going to interact, and a lot of these questions just fit right in. Like, are we, what source control are we going to use? Are we going to use Git? Are we going to use trunk based or feature based branching? Do our branches need to have specific naming conventions? Where's the source code going to live? A lot of these things just tie right in. And then, slightly apart from that, but still important, and in the same vein of thought of coordinating work and making sure everybody's pointed at the same target, you need to manage and coordinate work amongst team members. If you're not, then you might have somebody who's sitting there for 3 days and doesn't know what to work on next. Or you might have two people who both took initiative and started working on something, but they're working on the same thing. And that's, one of them's throwaway work because somebody's going to get it done and the other person just spent a day or two working on something that they didn't need to. So it's important to manage work amongst teammates. If it's one, maybe two developers on the team, you might not need that. But as your team grows, you're going to need it more and more. It's very important. So do you have a project manager or scrum master that's helping coordinate this stuff? Or is everyone just kind of pitching in on that? Do you have a product owner that it knows what the stakeholders want and knows what the customers want? Sorry, I just bumped the mic. Hopefully that didn't make a loud noise. But the product owner kind of knows what needs to happen and makes a roadmap of here's things that are coming and here's the priority of how we need to work on them. Or is the CEO functioning as the product owner? And if so, who liaisons between the stakeholders like the CEO and the development team? Is there a liaison? Or, at a really small company, it might just be the CEO and you, and the CEO's, saying all these things that needs to happen. Excuse me. It's important to document those things and organize them so that you and the CEO can both have a view of here's all the things that we want to get done. Let's prioritize them. Let's know what needs to happen first, second, third. What's the minimum viable product look like? What needs to happen to get paying customers? And then we can iterate, we can make it better as we go. But how do we get out the door the quickest with something people are willing to pay for? Where do you keep track of all that at? Are you going to use a ticket tracking software like Jira or Linear or Trello? Or maybe it's just a Google Doc for now. If you're just getting going, that's okay. But it's important to have these discussions and for everybody to know what the expectations are. This whole video series is about architecture discussions. If it's just you might have some of these thoughts, but really this is more geared towards like once you have a team, you have 2, 3, 4 developers or more, you start having DevOps people and QA people. How do you coordinate everybody so you're all working towards the same target? So at that point, you really need some ticket tracking software. You need a way for everybody to visualize and see what are we working on right now, what's next. And other things as well, like those architecture diagrams we did for the system design. Where do those live? How can people view those so that they can kind of visualize what the system looks like? What about user experience flows? If you have a product and design team, they're going to probably have user experience flows. They're going to have mock-ups of actual designs. Where do those live? How do people access them? What about knowledge base? Are you using Confluence to keep track of tribal knowledge? And by tribal knowledge, I'm saying like, well, how do I spin up this service? Well, Steven knows, ask him, right? I ran into this weird bug and I don't know, I've never seen it before. I can't find anything on Google. Katie's seen that before. She knows how to fix it. Well, let's get that information out of Steven's head and out of Katie's head and document it so that, because what happens if they leave the company, right? Like suddenly nobody can spin up that service anymore. Let's document it. Let's put it in a place where people can access it easily. New employees have a place to go that they can learn things, that they can get up to speed on things. Especially for spinning up a dev environment, you want that in a place that's easy to access and that makes sense. If you have microservices, it's great for each service to have a README, and the README says, here's how you spin it up, and here's some things to be aware of, right? Some spin up and development documentation. Awesome stuff. Who is involved in releasing new code or infrastructure? If you're going to deploy to production, who signs off on that? Who says it's ready to go? Do you have a QA team that's QAing that? Do you have a staging environment where you can take everything that's in development and put it in an environment that looks like production but is not actually production so the users aren't seeing it? and you can see if things break, see if things work. Maybe you have some automated regression or smoke tests you can run to verify that it's good to go, and then you get the thumbs up, and then you can deploy it. Who signs off? Who should be involved in a deploy? Who needs to be online so that if something goes wrong, you have people who can figure out what's going on and roll it back to a previous deployment or something else, right? Or fix it. It's good to have discussions about how often new code is going to go out. Who can push the button? Who can make it go live? Can anybody do it? Can you do it at any point during the day? Do you want to be on a regular cadence, like maybe every 2 weeks at the end of a sprint, we'll release what we built during the sprint? If you have multiple teams, who coordinates the work between those teams? How do you make sure that each team knows what they're supposed to be doing and that you're not duplicating work or stepping on each other's toes or getting in each other's way? And who manages the inter-team communication? Or is it just kind of everybody does whatever, right? So these are the things to start thinking about, and in order to coordinate the work on your team and make sure that everybody knows how they can feel productive and add value to the team. There's nothing worse than starting a new job, or even if you've been there for a while and not having anything to do, or not knowing how to do something and not knowing who to ask about it. So making sure that there's some defined processes and structure that people can lean on in order to start adding value and really fit in and feel like they're contributing to the team is super important. So that is all that I have on processes. I hope that this video series was helpful for somebody. I know it is helpful for me. It's helpful for me to document it all and go through it all, and then I refer back to my own videos frequently. So it was good for me to get this out there, but hopefully it helps somebody else as well, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.